welcome to the B Team Podcast. I am your host, Josh Safran, with my co-host,
Matt Mars,
and our permanent guest,
Rob Nelson.
We're here every week to talk to you about all things Bentonville, bourbon, and business. The B Team Podcast. Be here. Welcome to the A Team Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Safran, and my co-host and permanent guest are not here today. But I am going to FaceTime Matthew. Let's see if we can get him to answer. Let's see here. No bueno?
Take two.
Par for the course. Story of my life. He's answered?
There he is.
I'm here.
Welcome to the A-Team Podcast today with your host, Josh Safran, and my A guests, Mike Hodges and J.S. Bull.
Called me to bring it back down to the B level.
Well, we've changed it now. On the slogan, it says A-Team. We've removed the B and moved it to an A, because look at the guests that we have today.
Look at this. I know. I love it.
And did you see the picture I sent you that there's a Michter's 20 year here?
Oh, I did. I see you rubbing it in.
I'm just trying to make sure that you feel inclusive in the event today.
We'll save you a little. Maybe.
Matthew, where are you? Tell all our loyal listeners where you are that you couldn't join today for JS and Mike Hodges, two of your favorite people.
I'm up in God's country. I'm in Park City.
Well, what are you doing?
We came up to see our daughter in Utah, and we ran up to Park City. It's like 30 minutes from Provo, where she goes to college.
Who's better than you? Who's better than you?
I don't know.
Now, who's got it better than you?
Guys, I guess.
Nobody's got it better than you.
You're drinking without me.
Hey, did you have a question for JS that you texted me? You had a question, and I said you asked for yourself.
I know. I was going to ask before I decided if I would answer if I was in the club.
We're going to talk about the club on the podcast today.
We'll get there. We can even talk some rationale and numbers too. We want you in the club.
I was there. I can't believe you waited until I was gone to do this. I know you planned it.
There's no doubt in my mind that as soon as you left town, I'm like, let's get JS and Mike Hodges here just to stir up the pot even more.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I love it.
All right. Well, we'll miss you. I'll make sure I save you none.
Okay.
Bye, bye, Matthew.
And do good. Take care, you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
See you, bud.
All right. So that was the purpose.
You got text messages showing now, Mike.
Oh, it says, I'm in a store, but ask him if I could be in the club. And I said, you ask yourself. So for me, this was important to bring you guys in because we talk so much about Bentonville business and bourbon, and you guys are involved in all of those different ththings. I want to introduce first Mike Hodges, off to my directly in front of me left, and Mr. J.S. Bull. And you guys have done, or I don't want to say bourbon connoisseurs because that's probably not the right word, but you guys are heavy into the bourbon scene, very generous, high-end bourbons, and both of you are doing interesting things in the community here to further the bourbon game. So let me start with Mr. Hodges to do an introduction.
Nice to be here. I never thought I'd get the call.
Listen, when we had to go from B team to A team, we had to up our guest list.
Well, when you said, hey, it'd be you and JS, I was like, why would you want me in the room with JS?
Whatever.
Well, but in truth be told, and you're quite humble, but like what you've built out in Little Flock and the way that you're hosting with your speakeasy and bourbon events, we have Gentsgiving coming up, the way that you're doing some of the helping people get stuff in town that they can't get, the way that you're doing some tasting events, like just share a little bit about what you got going on out in Little Flock, because it's very cool and very inclusive.
Well, so on my property, I have a barn. I always say it's a barn, and then people come and they say, I wasn't expecting this. This is not really a barn.
I tell them it's a barn, but there's no horses and hay. And they go,
my father-in-law thinks I'm an absolute crazy lunatic because he's a rancher from East Texas, and see, every barn I ever had hay. So then he comes over and he drinks bourbon with me, so it works out. But so I built this barn with the idea that one day I always wanted my own speakeasy. And so it just kind of came together, and I started putting some ideas like, hey, let's build this mezzanine with this bourbon. And then as my bourbon collection started to grow, I started to envision a little bit a place where, 20 to 40 people could hang out, just chill, drink, not drink, just chill, play some music, just enjoy and just come together. And it's worked out.
Have you been to any of the bourbon tasting, like at his place?
No, I haven't. I got invited to one and was out of town.
Yes.
But doing another bourbon thing, ironically. But yeah, I definitely want to hit one up. It's a great concept.
Well,
it's
so
super cool.
It's like, he does two different things. So one is everybody bring your own bottle, which I chuckle because I bring a bottle. And then you're going through the cabinets like, do I have a bottle good enough to be included? And then you feel bad like when your bottle's not open because the bottles there are so good. You're like, I thought I had a good bottle, but everybody's bringing like really, really good high-end stuff.
Yeah. The typical bottle share that goes on all over Northwest Arkansas, and sometimes it's 3 people and sometimes it's 30 people, and there's 5 bottles or 100 bottles, you get to taste from, which is always great because as your collection grows or you're getting into bourbon and whatnot, you don't want to go out and buy a bottle for $100 or
you can't
potentially
buy
thousands.
There's just no way.
You can't buy them all, but then you go, I love that one so much, I'm going to source one of those. In fact, I got invited over to his house, and the very next day, I'm searching the country trying to find a very specific bottle that he let me try. And when this guy says, "This is one of my favorites,"
That says
you better
something.
freaking listen.
Yeah,
So, but then we do a deal. We're going to try to do it at least quarterly, where I bring in 5 to 7 super high-end bottles of bourbon.
Unicorns.
Yes. Stuff that's either being produced now, but it's super allocated or super hard to get, or stuff that's like the unicorns of the vintage world, like a CGF in the Wild Turkey, or we just did one where we had a Wild Turkey donut from the late 80s that's just unbelievable bourbon. And so what I do is whatever it costs me to source these bottles, if it's $500 for this bottle, $5,000 for that bottle, whatever it is, I just divide that by 20 people. 20 people come over, we split the cost of that, we have dinner included, and that way everybody gets to try these super high-end bottles without having to go spend $10,000. Yep. You spend a few $100, but you get to try all of these bourbons where one pour of one of those would cost you the same or more.
Now, when you ask people to come, it's like, hey, it's like typically, and you divide it out, you're as generous as they come, as are you. And it's like, all right, well, it's like 300 or 400, depending on what it is. And then you start to do the math, and you go, all right, well, if I wanted a pour of this at any bar, it would be $150. And they start to go, it's actually a really good deal. And then, by the way, you're throwing in food.
Yeah. Well, a great example is, so Michter's 25. Big unicorn bottle. That's pretty much anywhere you go, it's a $6,000 bottle of bourbon. And the only time I've ever seen it at a bar, it was $585 for a 1-ounce pour. And when we did our tasting, there was 6 other bourbons, high-end bourbons, along with that. And with dinner, it was, I think we came out at it was either $415 or $425.
It's one of those when you get the text and the price tags there, that's expensive because it's a big investment to drink bourbon. And then you start to back into the math and you go, this is like really reasonable to come out and drink.
Well, they produce 400 of them a year. And so when are you ever going to get a chance to try one? And that's just one example. We've done double Eagle Rares, Michter's 20, some pretty cool stuff.
So let's pour this while we're talking, because just a splash, because it's a Michter's 20.
Might as well have something in our glass.
Yes.
Michter's 20. This is a 2019.
Oof. Now, if Matt was here, he would start doing his typical Matt jovial laughter, and he would tell the story of the first time he was at a bottle share, and I'm surprised it wasn't the last time he was at a bottle share at your house. And JS, you're going to love this story. So we go, and one of the guys in the group brings a Blanton's, like 1991, like, and it's I don't know enough to know that it's like the year that you're supposed to be finding. And
it was the early 90s.
And he's telling the story that the bottle was so cool I had to split it with a buddy. It's my unicorn. He's going through building the story up, and Matt, after about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drinks, grabs the cork and the bottle, and the whole cork explodes into the bottle, and the guy's face are like, who's gonna strain her? Who's gonna strain her? I got. And Matt was like, it was amazing. And I was like, Matt is like, every time I get invited back to Hodges, I am so thankful because of how bad I screwed up this guy's bottle.
Old corks have a tendency to do that.
Oh man, we opened a Chessman together.
Yeah,
an Old Crow Chessman over the
almost right.
And I brought a strainer and a new bottle, to decant into, and literally, like, I didn't even pull. It just kind of fell off.
Yeah.
I mean, it was unreal. So yeah, you come prepared.
Cheers. Thank you for the beautiful pour. Sorry you're missing it, Matthew.
Awesome color.
I'll say this about Michter's.
Oh my God.
In a 20 and even the 25, they don't, like a lot of bourbons, when they get that old, they start to get peaty like Scotch.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I call it decay.
Right.
Yeah.
Michter's does do it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, this bottle certainly does.
So this bottle MSRP, and then on the secondary market, just for people at home watching along, ish,
I don't even know what MSRP is. I think,
Like 250 or something.
yeah,
like that?
I think it's under $300,
which you'd never find.
you'll never find it. Excuse me. Secondaries 3 to 35, somewhere in here.
That's probably right.
That's fantastic. All right, Mr. J.S. Bull.
Hey,
So I got a chance to get to meet you a few years ago as CEO, president of White
CEO
Spider.
of White Spider. at the
Yep.
time. Yep,
Congratulations.
partners with Eric.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But congrats on an
It was
wonderful
so bad, I'm doing it again, right?
You are a patient man.
Glutton for punishment.
Yes. And the first time I met you, we were talking bourbon, and you opened up the White Spider cabinet, and you had a bunch of
Few secret
roses,
stuff
yeah,
back
stuff
there,
like
yeah.
that. I'm like, wow, this guy's all into this stuff. And now you've done something even more cool. Is that cooler? More cool is not appropriate. You started a bourbon club here locally, which I think is just absolutely amazing. And you got everybody involved. And I'd love to spend some time talking about it and you and what you're doing here in Northwest Arkansas.
Absolutely. So in 2021, Eric and I sold White Spider to a group from London, a company named Essential PLC. They own Flywheel Digital, which is the largest media brand advertising group for on Amazon for retail media networks, right? And what they saw is they saw White Spider as the Flywheel equivalent for Walmart that Flywheel is for Amazon. And so we kind of became the Walmart arm of this company. And so this was in 21. And as part of the agreement when we sold, I was on for 2 years. And so that ended at the end of 23. And so at the time, I decided I'm going to take a year off.
Now, did you actually work those 2 years with them? Were you just kind of in and out?
No, in fact, for a year and a half, I worked probably harder than I did before, right? I mean, it was hardcore. It was part of an earnout, right? And so how the performance that we did paid well. And so it's like, this is the hardest I'm going to work in my entire life because I'm going to make more. I've got an opportunity to make more money in this period of time than ever in my life, right? And so we grew the team at that time from like 35 people to 150 in that year and a half. It was just awesome growth. And we had a blast, maintained an amazing culture, just great people, great time, great business. It was fun. And so tried to kind of work out a deal to stick with the company. And it just, there were a lot of CEOs already there. They'd made like 8 acquisitions in a year's time, and we were one of those 8. And so it was just kind of clear, you know what, I'm going to ride off into the sunset. This will be good and whatnot. Probably the last 4 months, I got really bored because we were in transition, making sure everything was covered that I was doing. And it all went quicker than I expected, which I was proud of because it means I prepared the team, right? And so anyway, at the end of the year, the New Year's Eve party that year was kind of my retirement party. We knew it wouldn't last long, but we had fun with it. And so I took a year off. And in that year, I started reflecting on some of the stuff that has been great. And so I got into bourbon a long time ago, like 2013, I got heavy into it. Started the first Facebook group for trading bourbon called Bourbon Exchange. It went by BX.
Was that a local group?
No.
It was a national?
Yeah. And, Chuck Cowdery wrote an article about us because I hit him up on it, trying to get the word out a little bit. And it became a huge, controversy in the world of bourbon, right? You got the old timers who hate me because they're like, now everybody wants those pappies, and I used to be able to just walk in and get them, and you messed it up for me. And there are other people who are like, I never would have gotten to try all this
And you
stuff.
get these messages people are sending?
Oh, yeah, not anymore. But I mean, back in the day, it was a lot of love and a lot of hate, right? So I got, basically, I'm managing a group of thousands of people on Facebook from all over the world, in fact, and I'm having to police all day long all this activity that's going on. At the time, it's kind of a gray market. Like, people aren't really talking about it because you're trading alcohol without a license, and how does that really work? But I'm having to follow the market really closely. And so like I start seeing people getting ripped off, right? And I'm just like,
Ripped off meaning somebody saying, I got a bottle of Midwinter and you're going to get it for 500.
yeah. And then, you know, fair market would have been 150 at
Yep.
the time, right? Or 100 at the time. And so I decided, okay, I feel bad that my group is leading to people getting ripped off. And if I go reach out to them, I'm like, hey, you got ripped off. It just makes them feel bad about themselves. They're not going to undo
Because he's
it,
happy he got this
right?
bottle thinking 500 is a good price.
Yeah. And so other people start commenting. I'm like, hey, just let it go. Like, it's not your business. Let it go. And so,
So you're spending a lot of time policing this.
oh man. And at the time I was working, you know, in another company. This is well before White Spider. And so, I mean, it was like a night job and a day job all in one. And I've got my main job. And I felt like I was babysitting adults. And so I got pretty burned out on it. But before I kind of slowly stepped into the Bush Homer Simpson style, right? I got invited to start doing some barrel selection. And it was usually liquor stores, and they treated me like a celebrity picker, right? And the whole time I'm like, humility was solid with me. Like I'm like, guys, I'm no expert. Like I just started a group. That's all I did, right? And but through the experience, I started learning how to properly select the barrel, and started learning it's not as easy as you think, but there are right ways to do it. And I started learning that I'm actually pretty darn good at it. And so the barrels that I pick, I can differentiate between barrels. I mean, we did one pick at Four Roses where we tasted 21 barrels, and in one sitting, a barrel-proof bourbon. You want to talk about palate fatigue?
You guys must have been drunk out of your minds.
Man, it was one of the few tastings I've ever done where I'm leaving bourbon in glasses. Right? There's just no way.
21. Now they
21
want
different
because
barrels.
you didn't find the one that you liked in the first 21.
We came in and they had 21 set out for us. So I was with a company called Crown Liquors in Indiana, the largest liquor store chain in Indiana. They had like 25 locations around Indianapolis, and we literally bought 14 of the 21.
Wow.
And so anyway, to be able to do that, you have to come up with a process, you know, follow a plan and do it right. And so, so I learned that it was good. Well, then I went to work at White Spider and bootstrapped the thing and had no salary for over a year. And, you know, basically I couldn't even keep up the collection of bourbon that I had at the time. Right. And coming out of that, when we sold White Spider, I decided to plan a trip to go watch the SEC basketball tournament in Nashville with some friends. And I had been hearing about Nashville Barrel Company. Well, you know, on these several trips that I'd gone on with liquor stores, you know, they had access to go get the barrels because they removed enough of the product and gotten the allocation for the barrel. And so they're my in, right? And they'd usually give me or sell me some of the bottles from the picks, you know, and man, just the experience was enough payment for me, right?
Yeah.
The bottles was just icing. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to go buy a barrel at Nashville Barrel Company.
Yourself.
Yeah. Like they open it to the public to do that. Now, they're more expensive barrels than if you'd work through a liquor store or something like that.
And for those that don't know, when you're buying a barrel, you're buying probably 200, 250 bottles.
It depends on what the proof is, right? I mean, it can be as few as 100. It could be as much as, you know.
But you are the proprietor and owner of...
180 or 200.
Yes.
That's how many you're getting. And so, you know, I had friends going in on some of it with me and that kind of stuff, the ones on the trip. But so we go, and none of them had ever done it before, right? And so I'm saying, God, y'all are gonna have so much fun, da, 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 da. And they're like, yeah, cool, we're gonna go drink bourbon. I'm like, no, it's not just drinking bourbon. It's the experience and the understanding. And we walked out of there, and it was like leaving a revival, you know, forgive me. But it's like lives were changed, right? And these folks...
Now, these guys were bourbon fans that thought they were going on like a bourbon tasting. Like, they didn't realize what they were getting into.
Oh, they knew what they were getting into, but they were not bourbon fans. They were guys who drank bourbon some, or mixed with bourbon, or
If you've
whatever.
never done a barrel pick, until you go do it, you just don't really get it, right? I mean, is that fair to say?
It's an epic.
So you've done it also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so so they walked out, and now there's some of, you know, they're collectors, and it was one of them I'm going to do a bottle share with tonight at his place, and he's got just a phenomenal collection now. And so he's got stuff that I don't have, and I just have a blast over there.
Was that an invite job?
Yeah, right. I don't know.
He kind of threw that.
Only for 18.
So the
I need to know who this guy is.
yeah, unfortunately he's bald, so he won't be at the gents' place anytime soon.
Shout out though.
Oh well. So we went, had a great time, saw just how it impacted folks, and thought, man, this was really cool. Next year, we decided we're going back and we're doing it again. We go back and we do it again. A few different people join the group. Same kind of deal. It's just this experience is just, you don't know it's bucket list if you don't understand it, but it should be bucket list for anybody who likes bourbon. And so at that time, I said, you know what? It'd be fun to do this and spread this to more people. Like how can, and for the love of bourbon, if nothing else, right? But also community and camaraderie and charity and other things that I thought it can move into. And so in this year that I had time off, I couldn't get it out of my head, and I can't help myself from committing to things.
Entrepreneur.
But I had this concept where I said, all right, a little bit selfish. Now I can justify going and buying one barrel a year and getting one experience. If I create a group that can go in and do 6 or 7 barrels a year, then I'm not stuck with 200 bottles of one thing. Like I can get my share of it, but I can get 7 different barrels and bottles that are awesome. Because guys, if one thing people need to understand, if the right person is picking, 100% of the time, a single barrel selection will be better than what you can buy on the shelf.
Oh, absolutely.
Of the same brand, right? And so it's 100% of the time, those 7 are going to be 7 of the best bourbons I taste this year. And I'm going to have several bottles of each. Right?
But you need to explain that for a second to people that don't understand it, and I'll tell you why. And I'm not where you guys are, but I 4 or 5 years ago when I got into it, somebody handed me a Buffalo Trace. Like, oh, it's good. And then they had a Buffalo Trace store pick from Macadoodles at Walmart, and you do them side by side. And you go, wait, same label, same bottle, same brand, totally different.
Yep.
Right? And it's like, and it is a huge difference between both bottles. Yep. And he said,
A lot of times
how does that
has
happen?
to do with age. So like, for example, I know this for a fact, like some Eagle Rare store picks. Your Eagle Rare is 10 year. I've got some store picks that are 11 year, 8 month, 11 year, 11 year, 10 month. So just that extra year and a half or year and 10 months in a barrel, it's just a different.
Well, and I could give a dissertation on age and bourbon and how it doesn't matter, but it does, right?
Yeah.
And like how a barrel goes longer than another barrel. It's some of the most interesting things. Like the science of bourbon is very interesting to me. But I've had store picks that were absolute swill.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, I mean, it really depends on who's picking.
Well, and so some store picks they're not picks really, right? So
This is true.
A lot of what you see in some liquor stores when they go, hey, we just got this special barrel pick or barrel buy or whatever they want to call it. What they got was they got a package from whatever distributor or whatever bourbon company, and there were 3 vials in a box, and you get to pick one of those 3 vials, and that's your store pick.
That's a common way to do it.
And that's really the most way, yeah. Or you get to do like what JS is talking about is he goes to the distillery, pulls the juice out of the barrel or has a selection of barrels to pick from, and that's how you get away.
And we sign our names on the barrel.
Yeah.
That's cool, because
Which
you're going
you
to show
get
us,
later.
like, yeah, I want to, like, because you, some
Yeah, and we can
done.
move to these here pretty soon. I don't want to rush them, make there's 20.
No.
But that's usually a huge difference in when a true barrel pick is like what he's talking
But now in
Well, and I'll
theory,
take it even further though. Like these days, and maybe it's fading back, but it got to a point where the distributor would call the store, say, "Would you like a private barrel?" If they said yes, they ship them one, and they've never tasted it.
Yeah, right.
but it's a store pick. It's just happens to be a private barrel.
Yeah.
And it's really an allocation of a barrel.
So a private barrel and a store pick are not necessarily the same thing.
It can be, yeah.
I'm not a store, and I
Okay.
have private barrels. I guess semantics.
Okay.
you can get there, right? I would say they're used interchangeably.
Because the Elijah Craig says private barrel, right? Which again would be the same thing.
It's really the nomenclature
Guess
they
Who,
pick.
if Guess Who had a private barrel, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
But
It's
most
a single
likely,
barrel of bourbon.
But most likely, Hart and that team is not going down and picking it. They're shipping them vials and they're sampling and tasting it here.
That, or they're taking luck of the draw and seeing what they can get.
Luck of it,
right.
okay.
Which, and I don't fault any liquor store
No,
for it.
of course
and,
not. You don't have the time to
it's
do
the
that.
process.
It's such in demand, they had to streamline the process. And I had this claim one time. I helped a store do a pick, and there were 4. And we did a Evan Williams single barrel, and we did a Henry McKenna. And this was, I don't know, 8 years ago or so. And there were 4 of each, and we tasted them, we rated them, and like they've actually let me pick which ones we were going to do. When we got those 2 in, I was like, I'm not real thrilled with Evan Williams, but this was the best of the 4. And the Henry McKenna is absolute money. They came in and it was exactly reversed. And I'm like, these are not the barrels we tasted.
And you knew?
We got lucky on one. I'm just like,
But you knew. And most people
They let you have the experience, and then they just
So you
shift
called
you
them
away.
back?
but I guarantee you, they sent the same 4 samples to another store and the same 4 to another store, and they were hoping they'd pick different barrels, and they all picked the same, and then one got it, and the others just got a different barrel.
But you knew when others were like, "Oh, this is good." Like you knew enough to know that.
Yeah, it wasn't the same. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I just remember how epic,
So do you call them up at that point and say, "Hey, this is not the right barrel"?
you don't have to be power to do that. And it wasn't my barrel, right? And it sold just as well on the shelf, right?
Yeah.
So, it's almost like it's victimless crime, right? Because they're still getting good bourbon. It's not always bad bourbon, but it just wasn't as good, right?
Yep.
But yeah, so anyway, the thought was, how do I, spread this to more people? And so I came up with this idea of, in all the barrels I've ever picked, 100 bottles was the shortest fill that I ever had. And so, and I take that back. There was one at Four Roses, but we knew when we picked it that it only was going to have like 40. But 100 was the shortest. So I said, okay, if we cap the membership of a group club to 100 people, then everyone gets a bottle from every barrel, right? Because I don't want anybody short a bottle for the year, right?
And that's the bare minimum. Like multiple people can get access to 2 if they
without
want.
a doubt. So the idea is offer back to the membership to buy multiples. I mean, we had a member this time who actually went on the trip with us to Elijah Craig, which I brought for us to try, and he bought a case of it, 24 of them. And by the way, it had 180 bottles on a 9-year barrel-proof Elijah Craig, which blew my mind. And so, and by the way, when you buy a barrel, you don't pay an amount and get whatever comes out. You actually pay by the bottle that it produces.
So that's interesting. So you have an idea in your head of what it's going to cost, but if it ends up being 130 bottles versus 230 bottles, you're only paying for the
About half, right? Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this case, I was going, oh crap, this busted the budget. But good news is I've got 100 members to take extra bottles and help me cover that extra cost. Mm-hmm. And so it really is a great system. But the fun part is it's about getting bottles from 7 amazing barrels each year, having a piece in community and building camaraderie with other members, finding other people who have the same passion as you. But then the biggest thing to me is the experiences. And so one of the first things we did, and I did, in December we had a kickoff party, and Heaven Hill sponsored it, and they brought it was like 18 different barrel samples of Elijah Craig.
And it was up here you guys did this?
Yeah, they
came up here?
brought it to my house and sponsored it. So it's these guys, right? So I'm supposed to hold it up so people can see it. But, these sample bottles, right?
That's
and
cool.
So, this one, we've got some notes, but this is 122.1 proof, floor 4. It's a 9-year from, that's Shenley, Rickhouse.
So these are all different.
That one's from the Bardstown location. But this is 2. I've got another one in here. But the, basically what we got to do is we got to set up a mock barrel selection. Because almost nobody in the group had ever done a private selection. And so I got to walk through, this is what will happen when you go on a trip.
But the better part is they appreciate you. they flew everything up here for you to do up here. Like you didn't have to go down there to do this. You did it here in Bentonville.
The beauty is in Bentonville, we happen to have Walmart and Sam's. And so we have a Heaven Hill representative up here who happens to be in the group, and which is why we get access to great stuff at Heaven Hill. And so we actually have representatives in the group from Buffalo, or from Sazerac, who owns Buffalo Trace, for anybody who doesn't know. So Sazerac, Diageo, Heaven Hill, and there's one more. I feel bad for forgetting it. But we've got 4 of the major distillers.
And these are all friends, acquaintances of yours that you know that are all up in Northwest Arkansas and all in the group?
Friends or friends of friends. So what happened is December 15th, I launched, or December 1st, I launched the group. January 15th, it filled up, which I thought to get 100 memberships sold for this commitment, it's $850 a year, right?
Investment.
And it's all bottle price. It's all price of the bottles, and you're getting them well below secondary, right? So my attorney said very strictly, I cannot make $1 on this club, right? Or then liquor laws come into play. But this is a group of friends pooling money together to buy barrels. And it comes in to Liquor World in Fayetteville. I was partnered with me on it. Comes in there, we buy it from them, pay the taxes, and then distribute it to friends, right? With the money they've already paid me. So that's how this all works from a legal standpoint, right? But anyway, I mean, that's the concept. So we've got...
But this is where I went wrong on the front end of this, and you're going to laugh at me. So JS sends me this text last December, says, hey, I'm starting this club. And we were like neck deep in Jen's place. Like I'm looking at these bills coming and like, I don't know if I could pay the groceries this week. And I'm like, this looks good. And then I go, I know JS well. He is a good guy on the up and up. For $850, am I going to have any good bottles in this? I don't really know. I got to believe when I see it. And then I see the list of bottles that are published in year one, which I'm going to ask you now to tell folks. And I go, are you kidding me? Like, it's too good to be true. The bottles that you have and the things that you have access to, you can't forget a store pick. Like, you can't find anywhere. And now all of a sudden, I get a private barrel, one bottle in this being in the club. Like, it's amazing.
We got super blessed. So, and it honestly, it all kinds of starts from Gents Giving last year, right? So, Gents Giving was November.
First week of November. November 6th this year.
Okay. So at this point, I was already working on a website and a business plan for how to run this club and this stuff. Didn't launch it until the beginning of December, but it was in motion, right? And there was a barrel of Buffalo Trace available. So at that time, and at the time I talked to you, I really didn't know what barrels I was going to be able to get access to. I mean, I was thinking stuff like Blue Run, and obviously Nashville, I had the relationship with them already. So I'm like, we can do a couple Nashvilles.
Nothing wrong with those, but that was what I was expecting.
And you know what? I 100% confidence that we would have gotten amazing barrels from all of those places, right? I mean, you've tasted the Nashville honey, right? I mean, it's just off the charts. And so when that barrel of Buffalo Trace came in, I said, hey, this is for charity, and at least I'll get one Buffalo Trace or Sazerac barrel in the membership this year. So I was going to roll it in. No, I wasn't going to be able to get the money back that we bid because that thing went high, right? I had to, somebody with the last name,
shockingly,
somebody with the last name Mars was.
You were bidding against Dave Mars. Shout out to Dave. And I was watching this going on. Where's this going to go?
So he didn't know I was desperate to get it for this purpose, right? The beauty of it is that through connections that I had through old business and through friends at Sazerac, I was able to turn that barrel of Buffalo Trace that I vastly overpaid for a very good cause. And they were very impressed by that we were able to do that in Arkansas, right? Into a relationship where they've now extended the opportunity for us to pick multiple barrels a year at Buffalo Trace.
And these barrels are of, like, again, let's go through, don't be shy.
Yeah, no,
the bottles you had last year were incredible.
So in 2025, so far we started with a selection of Weller Full Proof, and we selected
That's Weller Full Proof for folks at home. Yes.
at the end of January or at the end of February, and then in March we picked the Nashville Honey Cask finished barrel, which is I think the second barrel they've ever sold of their honey cask. Usually they just sell the bottles in their gift store. And so it was very exclusive for us to get access to that. And then we went back and we did a Rock Hill Farms, which is not even distributed in Arkansas. So the Rock Hill Farms was the second private selection that they've ever offered in 15 years.
Can you repeat that one more time for the listeners at home? That was the what?
Rock Hill Farms, the second private selection they've offered in 15 years.
As a member of your club, you get one of those bottles.
That's right.
It's incredible.
And maybe access to buy another one. We need to see how many come, right?
Incredible.
After that, we went to Heaven Hill and we did an Elijah Craig barrel proof. And we'll taste it in a minute here, but it's one of the coolest experiences, I think, in bourbon. And I'll go ahead and spoil it because I'm already talking about it. But it starts with like this cinnamon candy and honey flavor. And then it's like halfway through, it just shifts like 90 degrees over to oak. And, Elijah Craig profile is very oak forward, right? And sometimes they can kind of get danky oak, it's a lot of oak, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, this one is just like, it's this amazing candy forward start, and then it moves into just that Elijah Craig.
Have you tried this one yet?
I had at his place, and he's telling me about this private barrel that he did with Elijah Craig, and I'm like, I like Elijah Craig. Yeah. They never miss, right?
And there are a lot of private barrels around.
And everybody's
Yes.
got one, right?
And
I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll try it. I was like, wait a second. So I left his house with one. So, I mean,
And for you, that's saying something.
well, there's a lot of Nashville barrel, rare character, Elijah Craig. Every liquor store's got a version of their barrel proof or their private barrel or whatever, and you can't get them all. And if you did, most people's palate, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between 3 of them out of 100. This one is just it's not like any Elijah Craig I've ever tasted.
So how many bottles did you taste there before you picked this one?
We tasted 6. They were going to start us with 3, and then I did some quick negotiating and asked them to please let us try 6. So what I've learned, and they're like, if you don't like any of these, then we'll go pull some more. And one of the biggest rules of doing barrel selection is before you taste anything barrel proof, you need to smell everything you're going to taste, because as soon as you taste barrel proof, your sense of smell.
Hold on. So they're going to pour 6.
gone.
So you have to smell all 6 of them before you even taste the first one.
And take notes on them. Yeah, you got to take notes on them so you won't remember over.
So you're writing stuff down.
So you're writing stuff down. And they honestly, Heaven Hill does a great job giving you like a little book with like tasting notes to think of. And it's like, some common aromas, and it'll go through all different nuts or trees or, flowers or whatever, And I'm more simple. Like, I'm like, it's very floral. Like,
You're not going to get any.
comes across very floral to me a lot of times.
Yep.
Oak, heavy oak. Elijah Craig's very heavy oak, right? And so there's some profiles that that's what they do. And by the way, the job of a master distiller for these brands is to keep their taste the same over time. It's not to make it the best tasting that it can to them, or else all the brands would taste the same. Yeah. It's to create a profile and follow that profile over time. And so if you buy a bottle of Blanton's from 91 and you buy one from last year, they should have the same profile, the same type of flavor. And obviously there's going to be differences, right? There are barrel to barrel, but in general, it should work well.